Hey, you know what it is. You know what time it is. You know where you is and you know who I is. Oh, yes, guys. It is that time once again. It is time for the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, this is the place where possibilities become perspective. Yes, welcome once again into the I Am the Possible universe. I is your host, Travell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? And I am your self-worth specialist. Guys, oh my goodness. I hope you are ready. Listen, I know you may not be in your car, but if you're in your car, I hope and pray that you got your seatbelt on. Oh my God. Listen, guys, we need to buckle up and get ready for this episode. Today, I am presenting another one of my interview series episodes. Oh my goodness. And my guest today, listen, I'm about to jump up out this chair. I'm about to jump up out this chair. I don't know if I can hold everything in because I know what you guys are about to experience. I know what you guys are about to hear and to literally experience. I'm talking about some life stories. I'm talking about some examples of living on that next level. I'm talking about a person that is going to share their lives, their experiences. I mean, listen, there was a point in time in this episode where I had to literally speak myself down from crying because listen, man, listen, I gotta listen. And as we say, the show has to go on. I couldn't break down because I just would have went a whole different way with the episode. So I had to hold in some tears. It is that impactful, that influential, that inspiring, what you guys are about to witness. But before we get into that, before I officially, properly introduce my very special guest, I want to pause for the cause. And you guys know what that cause is. You are the reason I do what I do. Oh my goodness, yes. Thank you for every email, for every text, for every download, for every share, for every like, for every review, for every comment. Thank you for showing up once again, rocking with me once again in the I Am the Possible universe. Guys, you know that I believe with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength that the greatest present that you guys could ever give me is simply your presence. That's right. Your presence is literally is the greatest gift that you guys could ever give me, the greatest present that you guys could ever give me and literally give anybody. And so today we're going to do exactly that. I had just a amazing, we can call it an interview, but really it was just a dope conversation. I believe in having conversations with amazing people because it is through those organic conversations and just flow sessions and just chopping it up with somebody that the greatest things are just revealed organically, naturally. So, guys, whenever I bring somebody on, I want you to know that it is my intention to simply have a conversation with them and to allow that moment to draw out from them whatever is necessary for that moment. And so today, this person over delivered. Oh my goodness. She's a great friend of mine. I met her many years ago. She has helped me through so many things, business wise, um, personal, issues that I've gone through. And I've just watched her example. I've listened to her stories. I've watched the way that she's done things. We've partnered on some things in the past. And I just truly believe that we're going to partner on so many more things in the future. She's just an amazing person, right? You ever just meet a good person, a person just with a good heart. I mean, a true humanitarian, just a true good, just good, who wants to do good, who wants to be good, who wants to be excellent in the world and provide excellent services for others. And so I'm just so excited about sharing her with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into her bio and then flow right into today's interview experience. Guys, she is my very good friend, Daisha Hanks. Here, let me flip over here to this bio. Daisha Hanks, she is a 27-year-old coach, and that she is. She goes live on Facebook so often and just drops so many gems and jewels and nuggets of pure intellectual gold. That's what I'm gonna call it. Intellectual gold, man. She's amazing. She is phenomenal. So she's a coach, she's an influencer, she's a licensed financial advisor for a company that I rock with. So I totally back her up on that 100%. She's doing amazing things for so many families. Being licensed in 38 different states. Oh my goodness. Like when I was in the business, listen, I barely got licensed in one, okay? But she's been licensed in 38 different states. She has a lot of experience, capital LOT, a lot of experience when it comes to finances, but even more life experiences to truly give value to others. She specializes, and this is what I love, man, I love this. She specializes in simplifying the complicated terms of how to live a fulfilling life so that anyone and everyone, we emphasize everyone, can live the life they desire and deserve. I think that's so important that she would call that out in her bio. Absolutely, guys. We not only desire to live this fulfilling life, but we deserve it. It's what God created us for. It's what God designed us for, to be fulfilled, to find our purpose, to know why we are. And she's in alignment with that. And so I just back her up 100%. Lastly, through awareness and simple, but effective tools, she can help you get to that next level everyone talks about. Oh my goodness. Guys, I'm bringing to the stage. I'm bringing to this moment. I'm bringing to your ears if you're listening. I'm bringing to your eyes if you're watching the amazing Daisha Hanks. Guys, we are entitling this one, Living Your Next Level Life. Don't that sound good? Don't that sound good? Living your next level life. Come on, guys. I know you want to. I know you want to get there. And Daisha, she can absolutely help you get there. So that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and slide right on into this interview episode. I hope and pray that you guys gain great value, gain great understanding, insight, wisdom. I hope and pray that things just begin to stir up in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, and that you would put to action these things that Daisha is going to break down for us so that you can begin to live at that next level. Love you guys, praying for you guys, believing in you guys. Until next time, this is Terrell C.W. Lynch. What? Signing off. Salute. Shalom. Love. Enjoy. It is such a blessing, a privilege to have you on. This is a conversation, sis. This is a conversation. This is just me getting caught up with your world because you are a mover, a shaker, a money maker, a world changer. So this ain't about, all of this structure and all of this stuff, man. This is just about me celebrating you because I know you have been through a lot. Some of it I've seen, some of it I've kind of watched from the outside looking in. You shared a lot online, and just our personal conversations. So we just want to dive into all of that. But more than anything, I want you to feel celebrated. I want you to feel honored. This is your moment. This is your time. I want to share you with the world, and I want to share your voice with the world. So just tell us where you've been, what's been going on, what's new, because the gems that you are going to share with this audience, and guys, let me kind of preference this for those of you who are watching and those of you who are listening. The gems are about to flow. So if you're somewhere sitting down, grab that little thing called a pen and a pad and get ready, because I ain't got to cue her up. Just as soon as she opens her mouth, the gems are about to fall. So yeah, just catch us up. How's life? What's been going on? What's new? And we'll just flow from there. And I know that as you just share your life's journey and just where you are and what you're into and what you're doing, the gems are going to fall and the wisdom is going to be shared. So what's been up? Catch us up. What's been going on?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the last time we did any type of thing like this, I was doing online stuff. I had released my own product, like selling that to people for a while, just showing them how to build up an audience, right? And then as soon as we started the process of adopting my daughter, our attorney basically said, "Hey, get offline," right? So that was kind of a panic mode. Not gonna lie, right? I was panicking pretty bad, trying to find and scramble a way to see how I could build up the same amount of income that I was making online. And so I ended up getting into insurance sales, had to get licensed and all of that. So I hate school. Not gonna lie, I hate school. It was probably one of the hardest things I've had to deal with in a while, of just failing a test. I failed that test 4 times. So going back over and over and over. And at the time, I wasn't with the company I am now. So I had to pay for everything out of pocket. I got $2,000 in the hole, ended up having like $1,000 overdraft fee. It was crazy. And so finally got the license,
Yeah.
got the job, right? I was making good money, still making good money, but I mean, it's a corporation job, right? So
Mhm.
weren't treating me good. It was hard. I had to work like 3 times harder than I do now, doing what I do now. And so it was just rough. It was rough for a little while, but finally passed a couple years later and decided to venture back out online. And that's kind of what I've been doing now, is insurance sales, getting my securities license now so I can do mutual funds, things like that. And really just trying to focus on myself. Like it's been an intense past year, going through the divorce and everything. So it's kind of just what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. You are such a, I won't even dare use the word, because sometimes the word comes to your mind, but it's not the right word to use. Survivor. You are not a survivor. You are a thriver. You are someone who I've watched for years, take the hits and just keep finding a way to reframe the hit and reframe the obstacles and the challenges in your life. And that's one thing that I've totally admired about you, your resilience and your ability to step back and say, hey, man, some me time matters, right? And I
Exactly.
know,
It's huge.
I know that it is, right? And you are a champion of that. And I'm gonna just go ahead and jump the gun real quick. We can always backtrack and plow through some other things. But since that came up, because one of the questions, one of my, I normally ask people a couple of questions, just bare minimum. Everything else is just flow through the conversation. But since we're kind of already there, I just feel led to just jump in right now to ask you the first key question. And then again, we can backtrack, we can let it flow from there. Um, I believe that, and right now, just to kind of bring you up to kind of where I am right now and kind of where this platform is um, I discovered that I have a true core passion to develop leaders and to develop those in leadership to lead more effectively and to lead really from the inside out. And I don't go down that path right now because this is your time and this is your moment. But along those lines, when it comes to leadership, one of the things that I believe with all of my heart, Day, is that in order for us to lead others effectively, we must first learn to lead ourselves
Yes.
affectionately. Okay. Effective leadership to others begins with affectionate leadership toward ourselves. And so when you talked about, caring for yourself, making sure that you're okay, share with us any go-to ritual, routine, strategy, just something that you do that you're okay with sharing, because some things can just be totally private, right? You just don't want to share them with the world because that's is really sacred to you. But what's one thing that you do to care on Daisha and make sure that you're doing okay, that you can be, because you are, I don't need to tell you that, but you are a fantastic leader in
I
your
appreciate that.
home, online. I mean, you've led me for years. I mean, honestly, I mean, through the various Facebook groups, through the things that you helped me to do, you had a tremendous impact and a tremendous influence in my life. That's why I entrust this moment to you. But how do you care for you? What's maybe something that you can share with the audience that you do that maybe they can say, I never, I never even thought about that, huh? Maybe I should try that for me because I've been feeling a little in the mud. What's something that you can share that you do?
Um, so for me personally, and this seems so simple and ridiculous, but for me personally, it's literally just waking up like a half hour to an hour earlier. And it seems so weird. It's like, why would an extra half hour less of sleep be good for you? But I've been reading this book called, I thought I had it here. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. But it basically talks about that same thing, right? You wake up at 5 a.m. and for some reason, right at that exact point, right when the sun is waking up, right when everything is just still. And I think people have gotten lost in being okay with the silence, being okay with the stillness. And for me, I need to have that because my mind is just working 1,000 miles a minute, right? I got diagnosed finally with ADHD last year, got on the proper medication. It's crazy. Like my focus is just on a whole different level. But having that stillness right in the morning helps with not allowing the world to consume me. Right. Because everybody is so affected by the external things going on around them. Right. It's natural It's not something that you're doing wrong, right? It's a natural thing. Our environment affects us. And because most people aren't aware of how much that affects us, they aren't okay in that stillness. They think that they need to be in a consistent run. So literally just getting up a half hour earlier, an hour earlier. I try to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. Not perfect, right? Nobody's
All
perfect,
right.
but
Yeah, nobody's
right.
perfect.
But 5 a.m. it's the biggest thing because then I can meditate before I even get out of bed. I can literally just go sit on the couch and just stare at nothing and allow my mind to just be. And I think that's such a powerful, powerful thing because then you feel okay and you feel affectionate towards yourself. You're giving yourself that time to just be, and it's okay to just be.
Man, that's amazing. Yes, yes, yes. I echo that a hundredfold. It's so important, and I have found that so many people are so afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of the mystery of life. They're afraid of the stillness of life because it will force you to begin to contemplate. It will force you to begin to process
Right.
who you are and where you are. When you talked about environment, is there anything that you do on a conscious level to, in a sense, prep or prime or control your environment, whether it's in the home, whether it's in your car, whether it's in your workplace, your office, whatever, wherever you go? Can you speak a little bit about, is there anything that you do on a very conscious level? Like, I'm putting this here, I'm putting this in place, I'm doing this, I'm making sure that this doesn't exist, I'm making sure that these elements do exist in your environment.
So as far as like physical things in an environment, that doesn't affect me personally too much, right? I know that there's a lot of people it does, right? Clutter is like a big thing for people. They can't have it. To be honest, I work better in clutter. Like
Okay,
I have an
cool.
organized mess, right? In my
Well,
office
cool, yeah.
space. But as far as like environment goes, I'm really big on just the people that I allow in my life, right? Because I'm really affected by external people. That's my biggest thing. I have a harder time with not internalizing things if it's coming from a physical person. And so I've noticed the huge shift in that since my divorce, right? So not being around that same exact energy and coming into an energy that's focused on being positive every single day and every single morning and every single moment, it's made it to where I'm naturally now surrounded by more positive people. And so I try to make it an intent as soon as I wake up that every single person that I interact with, if they are putting off an energy that doesn't serve me, if they're putting off an energy that doesn't help me grow, or they're putting off an energy that could drag me downward, I ensure that I'm not putting my focus and energy into that, right? I try to make a conscious decision at the very beginning of the day that I do not internalize anything that doesn't serve me. And it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest things ever, right? If someone says something and that's hurtful to you, of course we want to internalize it. We want to hold on to it. We feel like we did something wrong. And so yeah, I would say that's my biggest thing is just making sure that I set the intent in the morning that anybody that is surrounded with me is serving me more, or I'm able to serve them. If they're going to drag me down in any type of way, I can't be around them anymore. I just don't have the time or energy for it anymore. I too focused on my goals. So yeah.
Totally, totally. Now, oh man, there's so many layers in there. Okay, so I got a couple of additional questions to that. Um, the first would be when you because I was waiting for it to come, and you said it at the end. You're focused on your goals. When I hear that word or when I hear that phrase, I'm focused on my goals. My, at least for me, my mind goes, and possibly the audience's mind goes toward value. If we have goals, what I hear being communicated is you've placed value in something, whether it's in yourself, whether it's in the change that you want to create in the world, whether it's, I don't know, the difference that you want to make, the contribution that you want to make. But if you are so intent, if you are so, conscious and intentional about saying this person not good energy, this person is good energy, and you're actually processing that and saying, okay, you can come closer. Okay, I got to get you out of here. That means something's on the line. Can you speak
Exactly.
to what's on the line for you? What is it that day is after? What's the goal? What is it that you have made so valuable in your life that you would be so on point and so tuned in to the energies that are around you?
So I feel like there's two things, right? I feel like there's like my personal goals and then like my family goals, right? Like I think those are two separate things because it's internally and externally, right? So internally, my goals right now is just trying to have as much peace as I possibly can. And I know that seems simple, right? Other people are probably going to be like, well, I thought your internal goals would be you making a certain amount of money or all these things, right? But that's external.
Uh-huh.
So my internal thing is really just finding peace. I really feel that the more peaceful someone feels, the more present and aware someone is, then naturally, the more that they're going to produce, the more that they're going to go after their goals, right? Because they have enough energy to be able to focus. I think a lot of people don't realize that our bodies are literally like any other type of vehicle. They're like any other type of piece of technology, right? They only have a certain power supply. Sorry, excuse me. And so because of that, we naturally spend our entire days not in peace, not in awareness, not in focus. And so we're just allowing our world to basically be ran by itself and focused on the stress, on the struggles, on all of the negative things. And that burns energy, right? And so if we're putting our energy into the wrong things, there's no way for us to actually achieve anything that we want. We don't have enough gas, right? We don't have enough gas in the
That's
tank.
right.
You can't run on empty. We were just talking about this yesterday. Like our bodies, just like any other thing, has like a backup power supply, but it's only going to give the bare minimum. So if you're running yourself to empty and you operate now on that power supply, that subconscious, right? Then naturally you're not going to be able to perform at that higher level. So I guess that's my biggest goal, is just finding that inner peace and consistently having that inner peace so I have enough energy to take care of any struggles that come up. And then externally, obviously it's just making sure my family is okay and thriving. I feel like if I'm in a happy state, they're in a happy state. So my internal thing is the biggest thing. But making a certain amount of money, obviously, we got to eat. The kids got to eat.
That's right. Kids
So
got to eat. That's right.
yeah. So my next milestone right now is just trying to get up to a consistent $20,000 a month in income. That's the next big
Oh,
goal. And
nice.
then
Yes.
once I hit that, then obviously just keep going from there. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Hey, are you comfortable enough? Because I know the company, and
Yeah.
it's okay if you're not comfortable enough, but can you, because I've been a part, well, before I go into it, just give me a yes or no, and then I'll go into it, and then I'll ask you the question. Okay. So you're cool with sharing who you, okay, cool. All
Yeah, of
right.
course.
So the reason I want to highlight this company and I want to kind of dive into what you're doing in it, doing in it through this company is because I champion the company. I've got products through the company. I'm on board. I'm sold. I'm sold on it, right? And I'm so happy that you connected with this organization because I believe in it. They've proven themselves to be trustworthy. They've proven themselves to come through. And I've experienced a lot of emotional, because of the nature of the work and sometimes the things that you have to do in terms of delivering, what's the phrase for it? Like a person has a policy and you have to
Deliver
go
the
to their
policy.
home. Yeah, like you got to pay it out because someone has passed, right? So I've been touched even on that level where I was a part of that actually coming to pass, where it's like, oh man, yeah, I actually did help this family. Like, because it can be part theoretical, like
Right.
I'm going to sign you up, but the person or someone never actually passes away. So you're doing the right thing, but it like hits differently, as we say. It hits differently when you got to drive up to that house and get out your car and walk in, and people are at the table like broken. So anyway, I know those experiences. So I was super excited to learn that you are a part of this company. And because again, I got all the products and everything. Can you share with us the company and can you share like one or two things, man, that has really stood out in terms of things that you've learned and developed? Because it will develop you as a leader, as a person. It will challenge you. You got to get your no's and your yeses and all of that good stuff. So can you
Sales.
take us into that world and just share what you've learned so far?
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I was already licensed, right? So for those that don't know what I do, right, I sell life insurance as of right now. Well, I do financial products, right? So it doesn't matter if it's life insurance, auto, home, financial products, 401ks, all of that. But the big thing I'm personally focused on is just life insurance. I was already licensed in about 38 different states, right? So I was able to help out people all over. I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was definitely the way that they treat their employees. Right. I think that's probably the biggest thing. At previous corporations, I mean, they're spending billion a year on advertising, right? So they can't afford to pay their employees as much, for one. But with people being as greedy as they are, they're obviously not going to pay their employees even more. So I think that was the biggest thing. I used to have to sell 3 to 4 policies a day just to be able to make even half the amount of income that I do now, right? And when I first got into it, I was like, okay, you're going to pay me double what I used to get paid at any other job per policy. And then you're going to allow me to get promoted as well to be able to make even more. So I think that was the biggest thing, right? Obviously, money is usually why we get into businesses. But I think the second thing was just the team, right? The team building. Like we're truly focused on how can we help another person. Most people aren't focused on, okay, what happens to my family after they die? We don't want to focus on that. It's death, right? I hate talking about death, but it's required if we truly want our family to be okay. And most people don't realize that. And then on top of that, like you said, there's some policies that you issue that people don't pass away. But for what I do, like I make sure that they have the policy and then I make sure that they have an investment account as well, right? So that way, 20 years from now, they don't even need the life insurance policy anymore. They have this amount of money put in place so that they're okay. They can take that money out anytime. They're basically millionaires by the time that that life insurance policy would have been up. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think it's great because I didn't even realize that this was a thing until now. Right. I didn't even know that that was even a possibility. I could do things legally. I could do things in the US. I could get my license and be able to provide that for people without having to be in an online company if I didn't want to, right? I could do it on my own. So I think that was the biggest thing, is just the team building, obviously the money. And then it gives me the opportunity to be home with my daughter. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. I don't have to go out in person anymore. Everything is strictly through Zoom and online. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that transition. I had met with my mentor, my financial mentor, who actually got me into the business when I first moved out here to California in
Wow.
'06.
Oh,
Who I
wow.
no, actually it was before '06 because I was working at Vons and he met him in the parking lot. Actually, it was maybe around 2002, 2003. But yeah, he introduced me. My wife and I, we had just moved out here, newlyweds. We didn't know what a spreadsheet was. We had no idea. Like literally, there was no spreadsheet. There was no budget. Like a budget, what is that, right? So I love that you talked about. I'm not just going to put a policy in place, but I'm going to also teach you financial literacy, which is what I loved
Exactly.
about it. It actually teaches you how to leverage your money over time, whether it's
Mhm.
through mutual funds and investments, compound interest. I'll never forget it. The power of compound interest
I
is just
know, right?
amazing, right? It's just like, dude, this stuff, you just don't
It's common
know.
sense. Why didn't we know?
Right, exactly. Yes. So um as a person doing the business, and just as a person that just cares in general, because I know as much as I can know your heart, just through our relationship, but I believe I know that your heart is genuine. Your heart is pure. You actually want to help people. You actually care about helping people. um what do you envision for others, and just in terms of when you're helping someone, whether it's through the business, whether you go live on Facebook the way that you do, when you're showing up for people, do you have an idea, a vision? Do you, like, what's the idea that's going through you when you show up for other people? What is it that you desire to see happen in their lives, or what outcomes do you desire? You can't make people do anything, but at least we can contribute to people, and we have a hope that the information that we share might influence them in a certain way. What is it that you want to see happen in people's lives?
So that's kind of a hard thing, right? I feel like there's two sides to that, right? Like, what do I want them to see of me, and then what do I
Mm,
want to see happen for them? I feel
mm,
like what I want to see happen for clients is I want them to see the value, right? I want them to realize that their family is important to them and this is the way to be able to protect them, right? I just want them to have that knowledge, whether they take action on it or not, right? Like you said, I can't force that, but I can at
mm.
least give you that information. And as long as you understand the information, that's all I care about, right? I will be here to help you through the process if you want to. If not, that's okay too, but at least you know the information. So I guess that's what I want for my clients. For my team, I really want them to just be able to thrive, right? I feel like just the knowledge that they have something on the side that can produce an income, even if they lost their job, even if their company went under, even if they, yeah. any of that, right? So knowing that they now have a forever job. If I get someone licensed, they can now go to any single state and they have a forever job. They're going to be making around at least $50,000 to $70,000 a year, and they're solid, right? They may not be working for the best company ever, and maybe a crappy corporation, but at least they have a
Right.
forever job now, right? And they can
Right.
still work for themselves whenever. So I think for my team, just having that knowledge is good, and then obviously just helping them reach their goals. I'm really big on that, right? I'm all about that structure, right? Where's your goal? Where are we
Mm.
at now? How can we get there? All of that. So being able to do that for them, and then just knowing that they're not alone. I think that was the biggest thing for me. Since I worked for a corporation that didn't care, they told me, here's the instructions, go get your license. And I had to spend $2,000 out of pocket, right? Trying to get it all done. I thought I was crap because I didn't graduate high school, right? I was like, I'm never going to be able to pass this. I'm not good enough for this, all of that. And I just felt alone. And so for my team, them knowing that they're not alone, I think is huge for them. They may never even do anything with the business. They may never get a policy, but at least they know they're not alone in the world. And that one single thing can make a difference for everyone else. And I think what I want them to be able to see in me, client or like team wise, is them just seeing my resilience and knowing that I go through the same struggles. I went through the same struggles. Again, it just goes back to them feeling like they're not alone. So, yeah.
This all has to have a root, a source, right? That nothing. I was talking with someone the other day, and they were encouraging me, right? Because I've shared my goals and dreams with you before, and they're still the same. That they haven't changed, and I don't know how it's going to pan out, but you trust that one day, someday, somehow, what's at your core, what you really believe for, it's going to manifest, right? But you don't know how it's going to manifest. But I was speaking with someone the other day, and they were sharing the life of a palm tree. And I've heard similar analogies before, but this one was like profound. But they focused on the roots and the way that the roots grow. And I had heard, some other analogies just about the strength of a palm tree and things such as that. But this one was all focused on the work that is happening beneath the surface. And it encouraged me to, keep on keeping on, as we say, right? Because I was at a point where it's like, man,
I want to give up.
Man, sis, I'm about to throw the towel in. I'm like, yo, man, I'm waving the white flag. This is getting ridiculous.
This is my breaking point.
Right? You can identify, yo, this is it, man. I am out. Rocky, Apollo Creed, throw the towel in, man. I'm done. And this, she just spent some time with me, broke it down, gave me some analogies. So I say all that to say, to kind of tee you up on, and again, go as deep as you want to go. Keep it as shallow as needed. Because I just respect, however transparent you are desired to be. But your drive and your passion and your love for other people, that didn't just like spring up. It just didn't happen yesterday, right? There's some roots. Can you speak to the roots, right? What's underneath that surface? What's happened in the past? What got you here? What were the struggles? What were the pain points? What stirred this up? Because what we're seeing now spring up and sprout came from something that was working beneath the surface that other people may have never seen. And again, just as much as you feel comfortable sharing.
I mean, how far do we want to go back?
Far as you like. This is your time. This is your time to shine. This ain't about me. This is you.
So, I mean, obviously, the only reason that I'm able to get to this point now, right, is through that resilience, right? It's pushing through that pain. So I think that's probably where I would go to, is where did the resilience come from? I think that's where it is, right? And honestly, I think the resilience came from just pure desperation. I know that sounds like weird for me to say, but it's true. When I was growing up, obviously wasn't the best life, right? My dad left when I was not even born yet. Died when I was 2, never met him. And then my mom got with my stepdad, who wasn't the best place to live for a while, right? I mean, Mexican family, they weren't really happy that I was not a biological kid, right? So I, of course, got treated differently. And so I kind of had to force myself to be okay around myself anyways. I had to force myself to push past hard times because there was nothing I could do. I was a kid, right? I couldn't go out on my own and make my own life. I had to do what my mom said. I had to do what my stepdad said, my grandma said. And so because of that, I think that just forced me to be the person I am, right? My mom, or actually my aunt had passed away when I was pretty young. So it was me, my two sisters, and then we had to adopt my other two sisters who were my cousins, right after my aunt had died. So there's 5 of us girls in the house. And then not even a year later, then my mom got really bad on drugs, right? And so she ended up taking off. She was in prison for a while. So it was literally just me, my 4 sisters, and my stepdad. And my stepdad had to work crazy, crazy hours. So it was basically me to take care of my sisters. And so I think that that struggle specifically always pops in my head because it's what kind of shaped who I was. It started to change me feeling like I wasn't worthy because I truly did not feel like I was worthy as a kid. Like as a kid, come on, you know what I mean? So
Right,
at
right.
15 years old, when my mom leaves, I finally started to gain that. I'm like, okay, my sisters need me. I have to keep pushing. I'm desperate at this point. I don't have a choice. Like I can't just go off and off myself,
Mhm.
right? Having those
Right.
suicidal thoughts as a kid is already hard. I had those suicidal attempts as a kid, right? And at this
Mhm.
point, I don't have that option. That's not an option anymore. My sisters need me. My family needs me. And so I think that desperation kind of started to build that resilience, but it also built a like self-confidence a little bit, right? Like I can actually do this. I can actually make a change. I can actually make a difference in people's lives. And so
Mhm.
I don't know why this was going through my head at 15, 14, right? But it was.
Yeah,
So I
yes.
think that was probably the first stepping stone. And so after that, I mean, me and my mom didn't have a good relationship when she found out I was gay, right? So she kind of already disowned me. Once she went through her program, she finally started accepting me, and then we started building that relationship up again. And then she started actually looking up to me, which was
Okay.
crazy,
Wow.
right? Like I think it's
Right.
weird if a parent's looking up to their kid, but
Wow.
she says that all the time. You know, she watches my videos all the time. She's like, your
Yeah.
videos help me. And that's like one of the craziest things ever. So I think that. And then the other thing was when I was living in a house with no running water, right? Like me and my
Mm.
ex at the time, I mean, we were my spouse at the time, we were living in a house with no running water. My job had just fired me. It was rough. I had done nothing online at that point, didn't do live videos. And this friend had reached out to me. He's like, well, get into this business, sell these organic products. I'm like, okay, why not? Like I need money. So I spent $200 I didn't have on this product and it was crap, right? I mean,
Oh
the company was
no.
horrible, right? So I'm
Right.
going more in the hole. We can't pay for heat. So we're in these like big ass jackets. Sorry, didn't mean to swear.
No,
Big
no,
jackets,
no,
right?
no, please, nuh-uh.
Cool.
Please,
All
no
right.
problem. Go ahead.
So yeah, we're in these like big jackets. I got snow pants on because it's so cold. It's in the middle of winter. We had no running water, so I'm showering with the hose. Like it was horrible. And my friend Len reached out to me. He's like, Daisha, I think you should start doing live videos. I'm like, Len, what are you talking about? Like, what do I have to give? Like, what value do I have to give?
Right.
He's like, just watch this video and tell me what you think. I'm like, Len, I don't even have TV right now. I can't watch a video. He's like, just put it on your phone and just watch it. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. So he sends me this video. It's
Okay.
2 hours long and
Yeah.
it's of Tony Robbins. And I'd never heard this name before.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, I had gotten this tripod from a friend. So I set this tripod up and I put my phone on there. I'm like, what's this guy talking about? He's talking about awareness and all this crazy stuff of we can control our mind and our emotions. Like, that's not true. Our emotions happen to us. The world happens to us. And that's the mindset and frame I was in. And so I'm sitting there and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like hunkered down all cold. And I'm like mad looking at this little tiny phone. And all of a sudden he says, where focus goes, energy flows. And like, I kind of relax a little bit. I'm like, what does that mean? Then he said, the world is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And that was the shifting point. That's what moved it. And I don't know why, but I literally was just glued to that phone. I don't even remember anything going on around me, but I just remember looking at that phone and I felt like I was there. And he just kept speaking and doing these meditations. And I did every single exercise. And by the end of it, I mean, I was standing on top of my couch, like screaming, like, I'm a beast, I'm a champion, right? And it's weird to think of that because why would I be in a house with no running water, no heat, no job, no money, and I can stand on top of the couch and say that I'm a champion, right? And I think that was the moving point. I was like, okay, if I'm aware of something and if focus where focus goes, energy flows, that means if I focus on me being more positive, me being more happy, me being more wealthy, right? Those things will naturally just happen because that's where I'm going to be putting my energy into. And yeah, so the rest is kind of history. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I love that. Oh my, I mean, I love that story. It's so, oh man, God, man, that encourages me. That encourages me. I always, I've started back doing these interviews. I don't know if you know knew kind of where this whole podcast journey went, but it was, I started podcasting because I had so much to say and I
Right.
needed to get it out of me, right? So it was all about just me getting my content out of me. It was an outlet for me. Um,
Same.
and at some point, and I won't go deep into it, but at some point, it made sense to start bringing people on, right? So
Yeah.
I dabbled with it a couple of years ago, brought a couple of people on, released a couple of episodes. Full circle this year, the light bulb truly comes on. And I truly understand the value of what I've always wanted to do and how it connected to me getting my butt back to welcoming people to this platform. I share that to say it's in these moments where, as much as I think I'm serving other people, I'm being served.
Right.
Um, and hearing that story, man, and I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to, because I am a crybaby, and I am okay with that. I am
Good.
very emotional. I am very emotional. I am
Same.
very
I cry at
sensitive.
least once a day.
I seriously, right? Because we're passionate people, man.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
but I got a picture when you are such a storyteller, and I think that side note, that's why you're so phenomenal at live videos, because you are so articulate. You are able to paint a picture so well that we are hooked. And the gem that you drop and the analogy that you tie into is always great, but it's the story that leads us into it, right? Because you are so vulnerable, because you are so open. But I got a picture when you were sharing that story, and it was. And now I know I cannot say the color of the clothing that you had on or what the living room looked like, right? Of course, but I had a picture of you doing what you said you were doing, and it was just the picture that I longed for humanity, to be in external conditions that say you're supposed to be depressed, suicidal, ready to give up, to hell with this. What the is going on?
Yeah.
That's how the environment is supposed to make you feel. And you being something different than what the environment was trying to dictate to you to be. Uh, oh my, oh my goodness. Whew. Okay. You have just deposited something in me. You about, man, listen, okay. Let me bring it back together. All I know is you just made so much happen. And I'm just gonna give you credit now. Okay. You just made so much happen in my life, in my business, in me. That story truly touched me. And I know that it touches the audience. Um, but I can't even go into, because I'll take up the rest of the time, what that just meant to me. So thank you. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for going that deep. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop there. I hope you get the spirit of what I'm trying to communicate. So
Absolutely.
so thank you so much, Dave. Um, okay, let me gather my thoughts here. Okay, let me back to the questions but okay, so along those lines, when you when you when you're sharing your live videos, um, and you're telling those stories and you're giving out the information that you have, when people are replying and they're emojis and thank you and all day and great to see you and all, that's awesome. I know that there's a lot of people, and I don't know all the demographics, right? But they kind of throw out loose numbers. They say, oh, millennials are this age group and they're online, or
Yeah.
Gen X is online, and we see the statistics. We see a lot of the statistics about,
Yeah.
I guess, like, people are online to try to get self-value, try to get self-worth,
Right.
and they're being almost dictated to by number of views, number of likes, number of comments. And if it
Hmm.
goes well, I feel great. And if it doesn't go so well, I
You feel like
suck,
crap. Yeah.
right? How do you, so we're in this kind of culture, and because you are an influencer, because you are a content creator, because you are in the public's eye, and you are engaged in that sort of dialogue, right? You're,
Yeah.
you're 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 putting out something, and then you're getting feedback. That's like
Yeah.
instant feedback. How do you manage that and keep that from telling you your value?
I think that that's a hard one. That is definitely a hard one, because I think that's what I struggled with the most at the beginning too. I mean, for me, luckily, I had a pretty like positive experience when I first started. But then once you start getting a little bigger, obviously you get the haters coming in, right? You get the
Oh,
negative people, right? And that did consume me for a minute. Like all of a sudden, I was doing really good on my videos, and then in the middle of a video, I had this person like throwing a bunch of shade, like, what are you trying to be, like the next Justin Bieber, like figure out whether you're a girl or boy, like just some
oh my
crazy stuff, right? So I'm in the middle of telling this like super intense wonderful story, and then all of a sudden I froze, and I felt this like sick, like horrible feeling over myself. Like I felt low again, I felt less, I felt right like I did right before I watched that Tony Robbins video, right? And so that was a big shift for me. It was a turning point. I stopped doing videos for a little bit, came back on, and then my mindset went into that space. It went into the space of, okay, I need to be focused on the likes. I need to be focused on what the audience wants, all of that. And then I noticed that the views, the likes, the interactions, my income even started to go downward. And I think that's the thing, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. And if you're putting that focus on the views, if you're putting that focus on the likes, you'll get more likes, you'll get more views, right? But is that what you were trying to accomplish? I think that's the shift that needs to be made, right? What are you actually trying to accomplish? Because if you are trying to accomplish getting a certain message out, a certain story out, getting a certain message to impact people in a certain way, then it doesn't matter what the likes are. It doesn't matter what the views are. You could have one like, but that one person's life you could have changed. And I think that's where the shift needs to be made. Don't focus on the likes, because if you want the likes, cool, like go and get them, but it's not going to produce more income. It's not. I have someone that I just hired right now that has over 130,000 followers on Facebook. Her videos get at least 10,000 views each day, but she's broke.
oh my
You know what I
gosh.
mean? It
Oh
doesn't
man.
matter on the views and likes. It
Mm,
doesn't. Focus on what
mm.
really matters. Focus on what you're actually trying to accomplish, and go do action steps for that, and let everything else just fall into place. Like you said, it's going to come about either way. We may not know how, we may not know when, but it's going to come about.
Wow. That is that's that's mind blowing. Yeah, that's my. I mean, it's mind blowing in one sense. Having so many followers and views and whatnot, but it not translating to anything that you're actually financially profiting.
Yeah.
And a lot goes into that, but it is so important to what you said was determining why you do what you do, and I think that speaks to a larger issue in our country, just of doing, like, what's the motivation? Why do you do what you do? Like, that's a good
Yeah.
question. I know it may scare the heck out of people to ask themselves that, and then to sit and allow you to respond.
Yeah.
And it's like, but at the same time, it's like, if we don't go through that fire of personal reflection and allowing ourselves to answer ourselves in honesty, then growth just doesn't happen, because we're always avoiding, and we're just kind of playing some weird game with ourselves
It's
that just
impossible.
kind of takes us in circles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is. I
Totally.
mean, that's literally insanity, right? We're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so there's no way for us to grow or go on to that next step if we're just doing the same things. Yeah, it's hard for people to grasp that.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Well, you mentioned earlier, and this is something that I'm daring to dive into more, and to address more, in my own context, and address more however I can, and how however feels natural, like when I get to that point. But I know that it's stirring within me, because I've had some instances where I've learned some things, heard some things, seen some things that have bothered me, and I said, I can speak to that, and I can bring some healing in that space. You talked earlier about when your mother first learned, that you were gay. And I think it's important, because I know me as a Christian, me as a pastor, and this podcast being an inspirational Christian feeling kind of podcast. While I don't want to
Which
put it
isn't a
into
bad
that
thing.
category, no, right, which is not a bad thing. Um, but I see it as just so much more than that. It's just like, I happen to be a Christian man who believes in Jesus, but also wants to create a platform that just loves on humanity, right? And I've heard so much, seen so much, and our culture has been bending so much, and there's been so much change around. And I have to be careful with my words, because I want to be respectful of that community, of your community, of the LGBTQ, and just understanding how to break down some barriers and some walls. Um, I don't know if you even had two thoughts about it, but I was just curious. I think, in my estimation, it's a beautiful thing that I can be a Black man embracing, right, a white woman.
I'm
Um,
half Black, by the way.
no, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm learning
I
all
know.
type of
I
stuff
know.
today.
Want to know what's
I'm trying
crazy?
to
People
frame
say
this
that
all
all the time.
carefully, right?
They're like, Daisha, like, what ethnicity are you? I'm pretty sure you're white. I'm like, dude, I'm actually more Black than I am white. Like, I'm half Black, quarter Mexican, and then the rest white.
Well, there you go. Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
see, there you go. So even with see that's dope, right? Because you start to peel back the layers and you start to understand, right? Because from the outside looking in, I just assumed. And that's
Yep.
a whole nother podcast, man. We got to stop assuming. But that's
Yep.
why I love having like these not transformative, but these transparent conversations, right?
Yeah.
Where we can be totally free and totally be honest. So you
Vulnerable.
get my spirit, right? I'm trying to basically point out the fact that like I'm trying to model what I see as beautiful, as I can be a Christian and I can roll with somebody who ain't Christian.
Yeah.
I can be a Black man rolling with people who ain't Black, who don't look like me.
Right.
I can be straight but roll with people who don't identify with
Yeah.
straight or cisgen, right? So did you ever give that any thought when we first met, when we first started connecting, and like did you ever like say to yourself, huh, like dude accepts me, like dude is cool, like did any of that cross your mind? And if so, what were your thoughts and anything? Because I just want to begin to, in my own way, just start shining some light on the fact that we got to cut this all this separation and judgment and criticism and blocking, and we got to cut that out, as a culture and just as a society. But any thoughts that you
100%.
want to share along the lines?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, it's a beautiful thing, right? Like that was one of the first things that I thought was the most amazing thing ever. You, Travell, I mean, you've changed my life. And I hope you know that too. Like literally your book, What is Enough, has it blew my mind, to be honest. I remember I was going through probably my biggest depression in the last like 10 years, right? I was living with my mom at the time. It was during COVID, right? And so we were stuck in my mom's house. And I mean, there's 5 girls plus my mom and my dad and my niece and my nephew and now my daughter, right? It was nuts, right? We had 15 people living in a single house, a 4-bedroom house. It was crazy. And I remember I'd gotten up, I was meditating, I was outside, and I was sitting there. I was like, man, I feel so low right now. Like my business isn't where I wanted it. My videos aren't where I wanted them to be. My body wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I just didn't feel enough. Right. And so I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, why is it that I have people like Travell, who's like this phenomenal freaking author and person that I just look up to on a daily basis, thinking that I'm amazing? Like there must be some type of shift. And so I was reading your book. I'm like, I've always been enough. I always will be enough. And I was already enough, right? Like that was just the biggest thing. And I tell that to our kids now all the time and to my spouse. That's been a huge thing for me. But anyways, back to back to it. Yes, that was one of the biggest things that I noticed. I was like, how can someone that I truly would never have interacted with before be okay with me? I think that was
Mm-hmm.
probably a huge shift. I mean, I don't know if you know my story of the church of me getting baptized on my own. Like, so my mom, right? She was big Mormon growing up, right? Wasn't involved in the church at all. So obviously I wasn't as involved. And then in my teens, before my mom left, I really wanted to start going to church. So I started going to a Christian church. Loved it, right? I was in the youth group, sang in the youth choir. It was the best thing ever. Got super close with the pastor, right? And then I wanted to be baptized. So I talked to my mom about it. She's like, well, we don't support that. We don't want you to do that, all of that. I was like, Mom, I really want you to be there. She's like, we're not going to be there. We don't support it. So I got baptized by myself at 14. And then after literally 2 days after I got baptized, then I got pulled into the office by my pastor and the youth leader because they found out on my Facebook that I was bi. And they just started, I mean, beating scripture into me, like basically telling me that I was a disgrace, I was going to hell, that God doesn't love me if I'm gay, like all of these really horrible things. So this community of people that I trusted, these people, one of the very few men in my life that I actually trusted was basically saying that I was a disgrace. So of course I ran out of the church. I ran down the road. I walked the 3 miles home and I went to my mom, who didn't really like support me and love me at the time, and just tried crying to her and bawling to her. And I could feel the hesitation from her. And from that point on, I basically had a negative association with church, I had a negative association with Christians for the longest time, and God. And so when me and you interacted, it was like a big shift. I was like, okay, maybe it was just them. Maybe it wasn't really Christianity in general. Maybe it was just that person. So that was a huge shift for one. And then we moved to North Dakota, where it was big religious community. I mean, I shouldn't say big religious community. There's 25 people in the town, 27 people with us,
Woo,
right?
all
Super
right.
small. It was
Yeah.
tiny, right? We had a church, we had our bar, of course, right? And then we had the food pantry, and that was it. Our closest gas station was like a half hour away. But these people were the most loving and supporting and accepting people I had ever met in my entire life. And they would tell me scriptures, but they would do it in a way that made me feel welcomed and loved and like I wasn't alone, right? It made me feel like I was enough. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten to the point of being able to accept any of that if me and you hadn't met. So it's, yeah, it's definitely crazy, crazy, beautiful thing. And I think that's the thing, is people need to be more focused on what is someone's intent instead of kind of generalizing people. Like if someone were to know that you were a Black pastor, right, they would automatically think, oh, he's a very strict guy who's only focused on his family and only focused about bringing people into the church and money. That's all he's focused on. When really you're the most genuine, loving person that I've ever met, you know? So just focus on what people's our intent are and don't be focused on the generalization of the world.
That's whew, man. That story, that piece, man. Well, I'll talk to you
Okay.
after the recording, because I just want
Sounds
to ask you
good.
something. Yeah.
Okay.
So, oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Yeah, I think that's a big message. Because I've run into the the generalizations so much, and I was even talking to a guy the other day, and just the the categorical thinking, just the what Christians are. No, man, I'm me, dude.
That's
I'm
right.
me, man.
That's
You
right.
you you put us all in the same boat, man. How
Mm-hmm.
about me, man? Just can you judge me on my character, man? Just So anyway, that's a whole nother soapbox. But wow. All right, got a few more questions before we wrap it up. I got my little alarm over here trying to be all professional to make sure that I'm staying on time
I
here.
feel you.
Right. And then because I value your time, we gave this a time slot, so I want to value that. So last couple of questions. The first one is leadership. I want to just provide value to the audience in the space of leadership. What do you think? Now, obviously, there is a gazillion trillion things that goes into leadership. If it was a recipe, it's got a million ingredients. But for you, what's your number one ingredient? If someone aspires to be a great leader, what's the number one thing that they should develop, in your opinion?
Hmm. I would say to develop a strategy for yourself to kill your ego. That's probably the biggest thing, right? Like no matter how much money you're making, no matter how much people you have on your team or how many people you recruit or whatever the case may be, you have to stay humble, right? You are not better than anyone else, right? You are no better than the person that you just hired. And I think that's massive. That has been the hugest thing for me, is ensuring that I know that I am on the same level as anybody else. Like, yes, all these people are able to learn a bunch from me, but I'm learning a bunch from them too, right? And if you can have that mentality, then it'll naturally create a growth community of people, right? Then you're not just having like maybe one or two people that see your specific vision and follow your ego ways, but instead you have an entire community that believe in the same thing and they believe in themselves. And I think that's even more powerful, right? So being the leader that has a strategy to be able to kill your own ego. And then if it's okay, just one other thing.
No,
um,
please flow. Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
So the other thing is just making sure that you're actually doing what you preach, right? If you're telling your team to go call up 5 people and telling them, hey, go talk to your friends and family and let them know the importance of life insurance, you better be going and talking with your family and friends as well, right? You can't tell them to go make a list of 10 people and you've never done that. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've noticed is there's people that are like, yeah, go make a list of 10 people, but I already had an audience and I don't have to make that list. So I'm good, right? But I want you to go do this extra work that I never would. I want you to go do my dirt work. It's just not okay, right? Like, if you're telling your people to do something, make sure that you've done that same thing. Otherwise, I don't feel like you have the right to really to speak on it. So yeah.
Oh, so true. Oh my goodness. Today I just posted something so along those lines.
Oh, really?
This more. Oh my God, you just nailed it. That's so funny how the energy is just like-minded, the whole
Transference.
bird. It is. It's so there. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Be of integrity is still sort of a big deal in life. Be of your word.
Yep.
That is excellent. That is excellent. That to me sets such a great foundation to build on, because everyone's talking about leveling up. And I'm like, man, have you laid a foundation? And I think
Yep.
that what you just shared is foundational, because without it, it's just gonna crumble. It's just gonna
Exactly.
crumble. That's powerful. All right, one more thing, and I think that for me this is foundational, and it's something that I preach from the mountaintop. It's my favorite topic, my favorite idea, my favorite thing, and I just wanted to get your take on this. I believe that we're all contributions. We are all created by the creator, whoever and whatever you call the creator, but we're created in the likeness and the image and the love of a creator, created to create, made to make. And we are investments, and we're here to invest in the lives of others. And one thing when I was going through that whole revelation was, I'm God's idea. I'm my creator's idea. He actually, or she actually, or it actually thought of me, like, I want to make this amazing individual. Right. It's like for me, that's just kind of where my mind goes, because I'm very colorful. So I just got to think through the whole process, because it just inspires me. Right. So I say all that to say, just kind of like giving you some context. I believe that every person deserves to have at least one inspiring idea of themselves. I believe every
Mm,
man, woman, child breathing should have an inspiring idea of themselves, something that wakes them up, something that says, like you shared earlier, forget my conditions, forget my surroundings, forget my situation, forget what he says, she said, and they said. This is what I is. Present tense, forever tense. It is inspiring to me. And so I always share with people, I am my creator's communication channel. To me, that is the most
mm,
inspiring idea. I
mm-hmm.
am my creator's communication channel. What that says to me is, I have a voice that transcends anything. You cannot stop me. When I open my
Yes.
mouth, I'm
Conviction.
speaking something that transcends whatever is going on, right? So that pumps me up like nothing else pumps me up. So
Yep.
the question is, do you have an inspiring idea of yourself? And if so, will you share it with our audience?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that you kind of started talking on that. So I've been really big on learning about like family history, where my ancestors came from, things like that.
Mm.
And since I have like two separate sides of things, right? My mom's family, all Mormons, came from like Germany, UK, right? My dad's family, right, all came from Africa, Nigeria, Bantu people, Egypt, like all those places, right? And so
Yeah.
because of that, I've been more focused on like just figuring out who I am. And I truly feel that if I truly feel that if I somehow ended up in Rupert, Idaho, of all places, after my ancestors were on two completely different sides of things. I mean, literally, my mom's family was part of the Greeks, right? And they invaded Egypt. So if I can come about of such a struggling time, such a struggling history, and somehow come to be at this point, I feel like that alone is just fueling to me, of just knowing like there's so many crazy things that had to happen just for me to be here at this exact single moment. That to me fuels me. It's like I should not be wasting any second of my life. I was put on this earth, this moment right here, so that I could give something back to other people. Otherwise, why would all of that crap have happened? I don't know. I
So
think
true.
that's what fuels me. It's the idea that I was designed, like you said, right? I was designed in the specific way that I was designed. My life was designed in the exact way it was supposed to. My struggles were designed in the way that they were supposed to give me the lessons that I needed to be able to be in this exact moment, to be able to share that value. And I think that's what fuels me. And it goes in every single second, right? Every single minute of each day. It refuels me at every moment because man, I just lived another second. I just lived another minute. I just lived another day. So I better not waste it.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful. That's beautiful and powerful. Um, Man, that inspires me to create something to just help people walk through that process, because I never looked at it the way that you looked at it. You took a historical perspective. Like, man, look at how it all
There's so
came
much that goes
together.
into it. I didn't want to go too deep
Wow.
into it, but I found out a lot of stuff. So we'll have to talk
That
after
is
this.
right, right. Yeah, that is amazing. Wow. So that just opened up my perspective. And that is beautiful. And that is inspiring, because it tells you at your core, man, you have a purpose. You are meant for something, and you mean present tense something. That's
Yep.
what I was hearing as you were, sharing. It's like there is no way this all came together like this, and this piece, 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 and boom, I'm here.
Yep. Doesn't happen.
Yeah,
There's no way, right?
no way, no way. Wow. All right, so let me ask you one last thing. Anything, and this is a free for all. Just one last idea, thought, piece of advice, whatever it is that you would want to share with the audience as we close it up. What's one thing that you would want to offer as a takeaway? Something that you believe maybe every man, woman, child, walking the earth, should know, or should think about, should consider. Just anything. Just what do you want to share as we close out?
Hmm. Man, it's a lot going through my head. I would probably say that you're in control, right? You're in control of you. That's the biggest thing that I can say. You are in control of you. And what that means is that you cannot control external things. You can't control outside people. You can't control the way that things happen. You can't control what struggles are going to be coming to you. You can't control any of that, right? But what you can control is you. You can control how you react to things, and how you react to things is what's going to bring about your reality. That's really what it comes down to, right? And the only way for you to gain any success, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your relationships, whether that's in your physical body, it doesn't matter. The only way for you to be able to do that is to become more aware. And so I would encourage you, I would challenge you guys to just take an extra 5 minutes each day and just force your body to sit and just be aware of what is going on around you. If you literally just take that extra 5 minutes, and yes, it's basically meditation, right? Whether your eyes are open or they're closed. I know a bunch of people are going to be saying, Daisha, that's just meditation. It is, right? But I want it to be simpler for people. Sitting and just being aware of what's going on around you. What sounds are you hearing? What does your breath sound like? What does it look like? But just practicing that awareness will naturally help you with gaining control of your emotions and eventually your life. Once you're aware of something, that's when you can control it. But how can you expect for you to have the successful life? How can you expect to control your emotions and your body more if you're not even willing to put in that awareness? It's impossible. So that's what I would say.
So Jim, thank you so much. And I won't even add to that. I'm gonna let that be. So some things you don't need to add to, and put your own take on. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for rocking with us in this episode, in this experience. It has been an experience. I know that I've experienced so much. The audience, I know, is experiencing so much. Thank you so much for sharing your life, your experiences, your stories, your successes, your struggles. You have shared so much. You have poured out so much. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for you carving out this time, because time is the most precious asset that any of us has. You can't get the last hour or so that we've spent back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make what's the word? Calculated effort, a strategic effort, a intentional effort to make sure that this reaches as many people as it possibly can. And we'll talk more about that once we shut everything down here. But I just wanted to express my gratitude and to say thank you so much. And thank you for accepting the invite to share this space with me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it. You're literally like a bridge. I hope you realize that. Guys, anybody that is watching this video, if you're not following Travell, do me a favor. Just click that follow button, right? It could literally be that one day that you wake up, watch one of the videos, and it transforms the rest of your life, right? Follow him, buy the book, read What is Enough, and truly just focus on the intent that he's trying to provide for you, right? He's giving you guys basically this value for free. That's something that's unheard of. Take it, run with it, and utilize it. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, that is it once again. Thank you so much for rocking with us in the I Am the Possible universe. This has been another episode, another experience of the I Am the Possible podcast experience, the place where possibilities become, what do they become, ladies and gentlemen? They become perspective. I is your host, Terrell C.W. Lynch, Mr. What, telling you that I love you guys, pray for you guys, and I am always believing in you guys. Until next time, salute, shalom, peace, love.
You're blessed.
I'm out.